Great. Okay, so welcome everybody for being here from As I said, many people are just still messaging me that they haven't got their invite. The invite got so those of you who got the invite who are here for just spontaneously having this idea that we should do something like this, and I've been just thinking. I told you that time that you're a mind reader. That's how it started. Called this, we were thinking what to this session. We said and healing.
Right.
We're not going anyway. Enough stuff going on in the world about what's going to happen, and it's also a little bit of a positivity on how we all can come together here and rejuvenate ourselves. Like always, Manisha, whenever we did this together in the past, I really don't know where to start. Do you have an idea?
Honestly, Santhosh, I don't know myself, but
Hey.
I was thinking, why don't we start from how you and I started to connect and talk, because it covers the topic healing.
Yeah. How long was that?
I really don't know, but it could be 2014, 2015, something like that. I was right out of my treatment from New York. I was settling into Mumbai, and I remember I was in the process of figuring out how to build my immune system, how to build my strength, because my doctors had told me that for 3 years I had 90% chances of getting cancer back. So I was in this, what do you call, buzzed out state of mind, where I really was looking at, trying to find how to be strong or how to heal myself. So I was trying various things. And that's when you had called.
Yeah.
I remember the first time when we had a long chat and you said, Manisha, give a motivational talk.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, Santhosh, I'm shy of mics and I'm shy of audience. It's another thing, I'm an actor, but I'm shy. How do I give a motivational talk? But you told me that, Manisha, when you talk about your process of healing, you will not only heal others, but you'll be healing yourself. When you tell your there is, there's some magic happens. Santosh, what did you say actually?
Yeah, I think it was something like that. But I was actually shocked when you first told me that I have stage fright. I don't want to face crowd and I can't talk. That was my first, because usually the impression was that you face camera and you're in the limelight. So something that comes naturally. So that was my first thing. Oh my God, is that real? And I remember this conversation that one of the things I felt is about fear. Fear, fear as an emotion, fear as a sensation, and what fear could do to us. I feel that one, fear can isolate us. When I have anxiety and fear, I want to go to the world. I want to shrink to myself. I'm not sure about showing up the way I could. And I felt possibly for you that I remember saying that I'm not sure. My doctor has said that this could come back. And considering what you have gone through and the fear and that anxiety, I remember our conversation that courage is not a state where you don't have fear. Most people say that I'm not courageous, I have fear. And I haven't found each time I go up to talk, I have anxiety. And we discussed that time that if you have something more exciting than the fear itself, you will be able to do that. And what could be that which will be more exciting? And I said, if you could to people, if you could help people, if you can have a purpose which is other than yourself and your fear, maybe that would give you courage to go out. And I remember your response that sounds good, but I am very shy. I really don't know how to face a group and talk.
Right.
That's how we started. Yeah. And I'm curious to know that when you started doing that, which is very different from standing in front of a camera and acting, when you started interacting with groups and sharing your stories, your fears, your anxiety, did that process of reaching out and helping large number of people, was that exciting? Did that give you courage to overcome this stage shyness? How did you manage that?
I somehow looked at it in like this. First of all, it gave me confidence, Santhosh. Uh, it's like sharing my story authentically, seeing people get moved by that, seeing so many people actually encouraging me, because there was a time, I think the first talk is in Goa, and there was that that's the time I was very nervous, and I thought I kind of paused and I was uncomfortable, but I could look into the people's eye, and someone was wanting me to speak up, and like an encouragement, like, go on, and something to that context. And it went on, and then after the conversation, after the talk, the question answer, and it just seemed so cathartic. It just seemed like I had shared my pain, my struggle, few triumphs, and sharing that, and people empathizing with that kind of made me feel connected to others, made me feel loved, and feel somehow safe.
Mm. You mentioned about this first talk in Goa. Is that the one we went and did for the pharmaceutical firm, or something else that you had gone alone? No, the same one, right? You said something beautiful. You said when you looked at their face and you looked at the audience, that energy made you to come out. So actually in our leadership language, we call something called create a context that can consume you. You're not doing it. So that's exactly an example that you said. That context was consuming. The context was something larger than yourself. The context and the purpose where you become part of it and being consumed by it, where you're not doing. Possibly that's it. I'm just reflecting your words. That's what
Yeah,
happened.
I think there is a term that I have later discovered, um, is something called flow, and you become part of that flow, and I mean, I felt it's a great tool for people to nourish each other, to share their stories. It's cathartic. I think it's somewhere, it's kind to be able to express what you're going through, and to see love and compassion and care from the other people. I think that human bonding and nourishing each other, I think that is a great aspect. And finding your flow, which you talked about, is one of my favorite things, Santhosh, because I realize that when you are here and now, and you're in the role of doing things, something that you're passionate about, something that you're really driven about, and you spend like hours, and oops, I don't see them.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. So you spend like hours doing the same thing, but you get so, engrossed with that.
Yeah. But I never felt when you did that, that I never felt that was the first time in Goa because I remember hypnotizing the group, but you did the bigger hypnosis when you did that talk because I was listening to it from an audience perspective. We had 200 people, they loved it. And I also noticed that all of us who are here, what we are talking is a concept Manisha talks called the flow. A lot of it's actually the guy who wrote a book called Flow, who's a Russian psychologist whose name I always find it very difficult to pronounce. But book name is Flow, and he found that a lot of athletes, a lot of actors, a lot of professionals at times experience something like a flow, and it's like a kind of an effortless being where I don't have to do anything, and that's exactly what we call the context. It's so consuming that you're allowing to be used by the context, and you're in. We experience that it's effortless. It's just being, and it's connecting to people at a much deeper level. Now, if I remember that the Goa thing that we did, that was the first time yet you were addressing, it's almost like 5 years ago, 4 years ago. How has been the journey after that? You went and did the tech talk in Jaipur, then the book came up.
Yeah.
A lot of
So it's been marvelous journey. It started with you telling me and telling my story is a healing process. And that time I was desperate to know about various methods of healing. So yeah, I have been giving multiple talks, and I came out with a book again. While writing a book, I was slightly more this thing, but I feel this whole bit has kind of it gives a very I don't know, it feels very cathartic. It feels like, also it's something that sometimes what happens is things happen to us and we are not able to put it to understand. We are not able to put it in a box, or we are not able to define what really happened. So while giving a talk or while writing and while telling my story, so it's been a great journey, Santhosh. It's been a great journey.
So tell me, at this stage, there is a lot of anxiety all around the world. We are experiencing something that most people haven't experienced before. You have gone through, and I'm very curious to do a little bit of a back before we met, when you suddenly realized that something unexpectedly, this news about your own cancer, how the life is going to be. Now, everybody, we talk about there is a new normal. Things might not be the same, but that was your moment where you realized things might not be the way things were for you. We call in psychology something called a pause.
What we call?
A pattern break or a pause. So we have a pattern in life. When something happened, that become a pattern break. Now this has become like a pattern break for most of us collectively. And for you, when you realize that you have cancer, possibly that became a pattern break from where you were able to turn around things, you're able to bring certain changes in yourself. And we both have noticed in the last 1 month, including Bollywood, lost some of the favorite people, right? It's also a sad month. So there is something going on around the world, something going on in our closer circle of people whom we know. And you were able to create a pattern break large number of people in the world are not able to create the pattern break. There is a psychologist who just got retired from Harvard called Robert Keegan. He said that even when a doctor tells somebody that you go to change, uh, only around 3 out of 10 people are able to make a change.
Wow. So that's I feel somehow for me I had no choice but to change, and I feel cancer was a wake-up call for me, and I knew I had gone to one of the best, but I also knew that my responsibilities don't end there. I have to figure out what is good for my body and mind and inculcate those things into my lifestyle. And prior to cancer, I didn't have any idea of how much damage I was doing mentally, physically, and all that. And you know, we are not really trained to look after ourselves. We are trained to be number one in the class. We are trained to be probably earning lots of money. We're trained to, you know, compete and win medal and come back home and feel great. But we are not trained to look after ourselves. And maybe I'll talk about this time now, is this time, this pause, which the whole world is experiencing, is, according to me, is time to reevaluate our lives and to see where are we running to. Like cancer taught me, I think cancer taught me to look after myself. You know, I was, forget about finding love in other relationships and finding people, which I was doing constantly. You know, I need to first start loving myself. And who am I? Am I just the body, or am I also here? So I kind of slowly made a promise to myself that no matter what happens to me, whether I'm going to live, the cancer is going to come back to me or not, whether how long I got to live, I'm going to do right by me. I'm going to do till my last breath. I will do the right by me. That's the commitment I gave during cancer, this thing. And I followed that through. I mean, I'm not a superhuman being. I do falter here and there. I do indulge in some, you know, fried food, and I suffer because my stomach can't digest those things. But those are tiny little stuff. You know, I mean, I have this ratio of 80-20. In 80, consistently, I do the right thing. And slowly those things becomes your habit. Slowly you become that. And I feel like, you know, this pause that suddenly we are forced into, probably if we can start looking at it in a, that what are we learning now. I was talking to a friend yesterday, and she was actually, she I thought she was going to complain a lot to me, and I thought she's going to say, oh, I'm stuck in the house, da, da, da. But guess what, she's saying, actually, Manisha, you know, times goes by, and we don't really mind it so much. And so I think deeper conversation, deeper bond, enjoying cooking, enjoying gardening, enjoying just sometimes doing nothing, you know, trying to be productive all the time, mind addiction. So every time, Santhosh, I think we have to learn to adapt to the situation, you know.
What I hear you saying is, like you went through this crisis that became a pattern break for you. Similarly, as a humanity, all of us are going through a crisis, and if this become a pattern break, pause, and to start thinking, what's really important for me? What's really going to give me joy? Is that what I call, do we have a social mind? or do we have a mind of our own? A social mind is what we gain and say that, okay, society says that unless I'm competing, unless I have that bigger place, unless I have this, I'm not successful. Social mind. And then we really don't ask that question, what's most important for me? Should I be living in what kind of a place? What should I be doing? Now we are discussing where should we living. Question.
Yes.
What segment should
My
we
eternal quest. My eternal quest
is about?
is, yeah.
What kind of a physical surrounding where I should be, and where should I be connected to? What kind of time I need for myself? So these fundamental questions, because we are running, because we are chasing, because we are busy, and as a joke, I just tweeted yesterday that a lot of spouses figured it out. There's the for planning for meeting, being in meeting, and conducting meetings during this lockdown because there's something going on all the time. And I'm in from one meeting to another meeting, then either I am conducting one or attending one or preparing for a meeting. Beautiful pattern break in a way. The positive is if that could help all of us to pause and think what's really important. Where do I want to go? Because my worry is, I don't know what you think about it, Manisha. People can just go back to the normal. A challenge is gone away, like this Robert Keegan's coach. You would have met multiple people who do not want to make any fundamental shifts in the way of their thinking, way of their being, and way of their doing, even after one experience.
I totally agree with that. I totally agree that we have tendency to go back to that because apparently somebody was telling me that, when something similar like this had happened in 18 XYZ number, people went back to that. But I'm saying we always, but it's like, but we have the opportunity to learn from this, and why not to learn from this? Why to let go of an opportunity? Why not? This is one thing I learned, Santosh, because I thought I was going to die during cancer, and I thought I was, this is the end of my life. So lots and lots of people, and I started reading, is that on their deathbed, there are a few basic things that they wish they had done. They wish they had spent more time with their loved ones. They wish just small basic things, and those are the things that we are doing now. I feel, why not to cherish it when we have it? Why we always crib and complain and look at the grass at greener at the other side? Why don't we just appreciate what we have right now? It's an attitude I feel we need to kind of look into, I feel.
You said an interesting thing. Most people could go back to the normal. So, what helped you to stick to this? You haven't gone back to the normal for many years. You've been building, you've been discovering, you've been reinventing yourself, and you have some great movies. You have a book on your credit. You're talking all over the world. You're doing some social activities.
Yeah.
What helped you to just hold on to?
I found my path. I found my, probably that was not my path or whatever time. I think that was good back then, but I found joy in it. And I'm not doing anything which is forceful to me. Looking after my health is I'm happy with that. Looking after my mental health is also useful for me. Looking after my, being with my loved ones. I'm doing things which gives me joy. So actually I started discovering what really brings joy to me, spending time with my parents, spending time with, few friends, or spending time walking in the nature. I love my work. So I also kind of do limited work because I don't want to do quantity. I want to do qualities, limited work, and I want to excel, try to excel in that. So I guess, and I'm content person. I think there are 4, 5 areas I move around little, and at the end of the day, I'm content. I have my troubles, but if one is changing to discover rather than changing full, or I fear, probably the change is permanent, and not because it's happening because of some other fear, or somebody else has told me, and all that. It's not
You
force.
you bring up profound psychological concepts in an unconscious way. What you mentioned right now is that there are, one is a joy for something, and the second is a fear for something. Both are
Yeah.
motivated. And what you just mentioned that. So one is what we call a reactive pull. People talk about FOMO, fear of missing out. So sometimes I am doing this because I fear of missing out. Sometimes
Yeah.
I am doing it because I want to be there.
Right.
One is a kind of a proactive, positive pull, where
Right.
other kind of a thing, because I fear
Right.
alone, so I want to be in a relationship.
Right.
The way I love contributing to somebody, be in a relationship.
Right.
So there are
Right.
these two driving forces, like interestingly, both life and death,
Right.
both have these forces. There is a life wish and there is a death wish. And
Right.
death is something that starts the day we are born.
Right. Absolutely.
Every day when we wake up, our body which are new, and maybe another 2 million which are dead.
Right.
It's a kind of a constant. And I feel that sometimes people, when they don't make any shift, it's kind of a spiral going down where they might have a death wish more prominent than the life wish. Well, nobody
Right.
would do that.
Right.
Or maybe what is just helping you to be in this path down to any other place is that the life force of the life wish, which is above than the death wish, possibly.
That's so true, Santhosh. Is that I definitely am passionate to live, and I want to live healthily. That's my passion number one. So and so I think that really the will to live and to live healthily has something to that. Human will is pretty stronger than we probably realize.
Yeah, yeah. And many people, when we have even a death wish, we might even talk about the will to live, because this could be a very unconscious, but we can see their actions. We can see, for example, the planet, I feel, the way what we have been doing with the planet.
Right.
We
So
know
true.
that way of doing. And these are educated people all over the world. And day in and day out, year after year, we know that the planet is just getting deteriorated and deteriorated. Maybe as a collective, humanity was unconsciously demonstrating more of a death wish
Right.
than a collective life wish as a planet. And then this is a great opportunity for us that is brought in as a pattern break. And my intent and my hope is that not only at an individual level, how collectively maybe countries or nations would really look at this and create some structural policy level, or that then we know that won't allow us to go back again.
I was reading somewhere, and it said more than competition, far more appealing word is cooperation. and cooperating and nurturing each other, human to human, human to earth, because we're sharing this planet, we're sharing everything. So it's not about me versus you, it's about all of us in it together. And I think that has far more appeal than just competition. That sense of rushing for competition, Santhosh, I can't see you.
You can see me?
Oh, now I can see you.
Yeah. Did you see my doggy who had popped up to see you in between? You didn't.
I think I saw something, but no.
It's gone down now. Wow. Okay, let's take a pause. But we have been talking about pattern break and pause, and let me check the chat. See if some is it a good time. We've been talking for 30-40 minutes to pick up one question. I hear from Susmita Palo, who is our Dean of KISS, where we both went and you met her, who is a big fan of you. She's written that fears I feel are always overblown. My fears coming true are occasional. Most of the time things go just fine. But even when my fears are justified and things do go wrong, the results are never as bad as I expect. Nothing I have ever done has been as ruthless as I imagined it would be. What's your experience, Manisha? Long question.
It's a very long question, and I need to probably hear it again, Satosh.
Yeah,
So,
I'm going to pick that up. So one of the essence is that fears I feel are always overblown, right? Most of the time we my fears coming true are occasional. Not all fears actually come true, right? Nothing I have ever done has been as ruthless as I imagined it would be.
right.
So basically, what Susmita also feel that one, we can be overcritical about ourselves. Two, a lot of our fears, whether it's fear about the universe, whether about myself, can be overblown. So how do we convince ourselves that, hey, this may not be as big as that? Particularly you went through and your fears were real. That was really big. And how did you manage that?
See, she hit the right core that it's never been as ruthless. Honestly, fear itself is fearful rather than what really happens. And we human beings are actually quite strong, I feel. And we can endure. We are very resilient and we can endure a lot of things that we probably will be fearful of. And so it's there, it's more painful, but when it actually hits you, you are able to tolerate this, as she said, so I think uh, I mean, fear is one aspect of our life which is going to be there, and rightly so. You said something in the beginning, is that we absence of, what did you say? Not
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
yes, it's
Courage is not the absence of fear. Even when people are courageous, I'll just stop you, pause, and recently I learned, because I was just talking about my little doggy here. She is so fearful of getting into the car.
yeah,
Okay?
right.
But she loves being with me. Now there is just two emotions: fearful of getting into the car and love being with me. So when I ask her, okay, get into the car now,
Right.
I can see on her face these two things. So scared, and but she wants to be with me, and she just put her head down and just jump. And the moment she's in the car, throughout she will be hiding her jacket or somewhere. So what is helping her to do that journey is her love to be with me is fear of getting into the car.
Right. Right.
always feel that there is no time that there is an absence of fear.
Right.
Many people, maybe they don't have anything
Hmm.
so positive and so powerfully holding them. As a joke, I say that winter must be tough for people who do not have warm memories.
Right.
Uh,
See? Yeah.
yeah, warm memories, even if you don't have warm clothes, a little bit you can manage.
So true.
What
So
was it that so warm? What was it that positive? Was it just the desire to leave, or did you think about, okay, when I go back, I want to do this more things, this new things? Or what did help you?
for me, I'm basically a very simple person, and I just wanted to live correctly. I just wanted to experience this chance of life,
Mm.
well, mindfully, being aware, being present, um, and I just wanted to have, because I felt when I thought I was dying, when I thought I was losing, that what did I live this for? I mean, how well did I live? I was actually I was, you know, uh, feeling bad that I didn't live my life well, and I didn't utilize my living years well. So firstly, I wanted to do was to live well, and 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 then I had to really start putting in perspective, what are the other things I would want to, how does it look like to have a fulfilled life, what are the qualities can I bring in, and to have a sense of fulfillment. uh, I mean, each individual is different, Santosh, and everybody is made differently. Everybody has different this thing way of thinking. But I started putting things in bracket, and I started saying, okay, number one is this, number two, number three, all this is what my circle looks like. And I remember even this bit, you and I had this conversation, and I realized if I fulfill 80 to 90% in each bracket, to me that looks like a fulfilled life. And I walk from here, like from that space, and I keep on doing that, and I keep on rediscovering, and I keep on, it's like life is a journey, it's not a destination. And we all are student of life. We are consistently learning and moving and imbibing, which is good, which brings us joy, and letting go are unhealthy for us or not. It's that it stems from that space.
How do you want to see when all these things stop, when the lockdown stop, when the world opens up, when whatever normalcy come back? What are a couple of the things that you would love to do?
I haven't actually
Spontaneous.
I haven't really given a thought, but what would be great is to meet up with all my friends and hug them tight, and seriously, just laugh and be with them. And I love human, this thing, touching and pets, and I love outdoors. I love going on in parks. I love going on the beach. I love going to the mountains, and just that whole sense of being able to enjoy all that again.
Good. I'm just going to go through the chat window once again and see if there is any questions that I wanted to take for you. I have a lot of stuff coming here. One new message. What I hear you say is death made you realize the joy of life, and now value the intangible, the race of tangibles anyway stays. in any particular instance when science and reality is on negative side with strong convincing evidence, how do you train your mind to stay positive? Any particular instance when science and reality is on negative side with strong convincing evidence, how do you train your mind to stay positive? And let me attempt it. Most of the complex things that I don't understand, I have a tendency to answer.
That's a good one.
That would help me to look intelligent, right? So, I think the first thing I would anyway that the first thing I would feel is our sphere of influence. What is it that I could do within my limited way, circle, and with, as I said, collectively the world seems to be bothered about things that are not really important to the human beings till now. So, for example, we all understand the immediate seriously bother about when we talk about climate change because it doesn't have an immediacy. Now, Corona has an immediacy. Somebody in your neighborhood has it. So we are able to lock down. And we possibly would have spent billions of rupees to clean up the rivers. Now the rivers are automatically clean without change. So the human mind typically look at immediacy and act. Human mind is finding it difficult to look at any behavior that we have, the long-term impact of that, and make behavioral condition. If somebody say that smoking is bad, after 10 years you will have cancer, I would say that, man, but I don't have now, right? I can do that. But if somebody say, okay, man, Santhosh, if you don't go there, that guy has possibly a virus and should do something, then I'm scared because that's immediacy. So one, I've learned that human brain works with the concept of immediacy. So unless we are able to break down long-term issues into an immediate issues and large-scale change from a perspective. The second thing I learned, no collective shift happens when we wait for the collective consciousness to change. It happens when small communities, small individuals, small pockets started building this shift somewhere. So I always ask the question to myself, what is it that I could do? How could I shift my perception? How could I shift my life? How could I reduce the carbon footprint my way than waiting for the whole world to change? That's kind of a long answer to that complex question. Can everyone escape from succumbing to the fear of existence? So Bindu's question. I think all of us have to face reality, and all of us also would do escapism. So for a painter, when he paints, it is an escapism. When I am reading a fiction, a novel, it is escaping from reality. When I'm dreaming about something, it is escapism. But I always feel that, is the escapism positive or escapism negative? While the mindfulness expert will say that be mindful about every moment. And to me, don't quote me, I feel it could be boring. I want to escape sometime. I watch a movie to escape from the reality. But as long as I come back and I'm willing to face the reality, to me, it's okay. It's kind of a positive escapism. But if I'm on a drug continuously, I don't want to face reality, I would call that as a negative escapism. Back from a bigger complex things, and Shu has, I feel a lot of fear that we are experiencing in difficult times is about context to the loved ones in our lives. How are they dealing with what we are going through, seeing us in pain? Would love to hear how did Manisha handle that when she was healing? How much did a social support work in shaping? The whole question is, in our own healing process, in our own coming back in life, how much is the social support? I still remember your story, which I wanted about that. What forward?
Sorry?
not fast forward, something who came and supported you and even people. So all over.
Pay it forward.
That's right.
Pay it forward.
What's the
Yeah.
social support played in your case?
Well, that actually was huge. Social support, knowing that people care really helps. And sometimes you don't need a lot of people. One or two or three people or one person enough is enough. It's like that. Was there used to be one lady, Dr. Navneet Narula, and she would come every Sunday to spend her entire Sunday with me, and I used to be very surprised because I didn't know her before. Just got to know her during this whole treatment, and every Sunday she would come, and I knew that she was busy doctor, and I knew how Sundays were important. She had children, she had family, and she is a doctor, and so very extremely important to unwind, to relax, be with you. She would spend entire day with me, and when this went on for a couple of times, I couldn't stop myself, and I said, Zina ji is her pet name. I said, Zina ji, you're not my fan. Neither are you my friend from before. Why are you doing this? Why you are spending? She just simply told me that, Manisha ji, this is so that someday you can do this to somebody else. And that really blew me over. And that compassion, that sense of, I just felt that's when I decided, okay, I'm going to be in some capacity, small, big, whatever, I'm going to be useful for other people. I'm going to definitely make sure that I will be helpful to people, and that I learned. I got a lot of support from unknown people, Santhosh.
Mm-hmm.
People, gone through similar type of disease and stuff like that. So what I felt during that time, that human beings are extremely kind, and they just pour in from different space to come and support you in your times of crisis that you had not even imagined it would be there.
There are a couple of questions which are all similar, so I'm going to pick that up from one. Is that, what do you value the most in life right now? Life in itself.
Right now, basically, because we are all in this corona thing, and I am living with my two elderly parents, and I just want to protect them, look after them, and have a great time, peaceful time, and be supportive in this whole thing. But by and large, if we are talking out of corona crisis, then I just I have simple this journey to be joyful, as well as I should be useful of some service earth to nurture the people, to nurture this earth, and to be useful and to bring joy to other people if I can. That's it for me.
Got it. There was another request. Somebody's asking, are you a vegetarian now?
Okay. I'm vegetarian. I occasionally I fish. I'm in my mind midst of thinking of even leaving that, but I don't know. So occasionally I indulge in that.
Got it. So that brings us almost, we have just 5 minutes. We didn't know how 1 hour went. So that happened when we talked.
It always happens when I'm talking to you, Santhosh.
Time just few. And it's also a good thing is that we don't structure this. So if somebody asks me after this, hey, what do you talk? I have no clue because.
Okay, can I quickly talk about death, because it'll pop up,
Yes.
and I also will be able to colleagues recently passed on, I was actually depressed for a few days. And I thought I was allowing myself to feel depressed for just a day or two, and I'll come out, spring out fine out of that. But it actually sunk me even further. And then I really, was struggling to come out. And I started thinking all sorts of strange questions. What is this life worth for? And ultimately, that's the end. We all are going, and why am I doing this? Or why, all that. And I happened to realize that was such a wise decision. And the person said, Manisha, the thing is, there's a way of looking at life, is that enjoy and be grateful for the time that you shared with that person. And when it's time to leave, be graceful to let it go. And because in so many cultures, the ancient cultures, they used to celebrate death, and they would say, okay, we are grateful that we shared our time with you, but now it's, you're going to wherever, or we'll meet again sometimes. So I feel there's of looking at death rather than just being cruel. And death is a natural process. So if we can adapt and learn to accept that in more beautiful way.
Yeah. Conversation that we had
Yes.
about our social mind, our conditioning from the past is all about death as the most big mythology. That guy comes when you are ready to take you, and people are around you. So we never had a learning that it's a natural process of transition. We're just trying to hold on. What if that whole shift happens in our mind, which seems to be there in some communities where they would actually celebrate and look for that my time is up and I'm going through, or the process that even if we don't know where we go, it's a space of not knowing. When you're not there going to feel anything. You have no clue. You're not going to have this body anyway. So whether it is going to be good, bad, it's just a not knowing space. Fantastic. So I think, and I have something like a wonderful conversation. It was nice. It's a great opportunity to be here. Thank you so much. I think so. We got all of. I think Manisha and Santhosh unplugged, having a candid conversation as we promised, without making any sense. And at the same time, hoping that some sense, because somebody said this was very wise, and I strongly believe about me. I don't know about Manisha. I feel that some people are wise and some are otherwise. I am otherwise. Possibly she's a wise one. I'm an otherwise.
Far from being wise.
Yeah. So
but thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, to connecting with so many people. And I hope this conversation was in some way useful,
Thank you, everyone. We enjoyed as much you enjoyed the session, and hopefully we were able to light up an evening of 1 hour in each one of our life. Thank you so much for being here. Be in touch. Bye-bye and good evening.
Bye-bye.